Tonight on Can of Worms, our first guest shot to fame in the cheerfully offensive Doug Anthony All-Stars. Today he writes and teaches comedy, tours a stand-up show about multiple sclerosis and is running for the Senate in this year's election. Oh, and he owns the third largest Star Wars toy collection in the Southern Hemisphere. It's Tim Ferguson. Our next guest is an Australian cricket legend, a man with a moustache so famous he once insured it for 300 grand. He reckons all the Aussie cricket team need to get over their terrible form is more facial hair. It's Merv Hughes. And the last time she was on the show, she opened up about an unusual obsession.
I am poo obsessed. I did this poo. It was in the shape of a question mark.
What on earth will she share tonight? It's actress and funny lady Genevieve Morris. Tonight on Can of Worms.
To Can of Worms. I'm James Matheson, keeping the seat warm while Chrissy Swan is away on maternity leave. Got a big show tonight and some terrific guests. Please make them welcome Tim Ferguson, Genevieve Morris and Merv Hughes. Very exciting stuff. Later on as well, we'll get our weekly fill of the wonderful Dan Ilic. And if one screen isn't enough for you, you can also get involved on Facebook and Twitter and vote in our live polls on ZBox. Let's get into our can openers now. This is where we grab a story from around the globe and all you need to do is judge whether it's perfectly fine or seriously wrong. Now, in a week where Tom Cruise overcompensated for his divorce by giving his daughter Suri a $5.5 million jet on her 7th birthday, sadly, all she wanted was a pony. Actually, can we have a look at that picture again? It's funny that getting cuddled by Tom Cruise looks a lot like you're being rescued from a hostage scenario. That's what you get when your dad believes in Xenu. Speaking of planes and aviation, which we sort of were there, this one's a doozy. Samoa Airlines has now decided to charge passengers by the kilo. And they're not just talking about baggage. How much you pay for a seat is now determined by the total weight of your luggage and your body. Perfectly fine or seriously wrong? Who should we ask? Merv?
Seriously wrong. Big people should get allowed more baggage because big people wear big clothes are heavier than small clothes, little people take less, easy.
Okay.
So I reckon you should get weight 150 kilos. If you haven't got 150 kilos, you have to pay the difference. So if you're only 68, you've got to pay that amount.
Oh. Yeah. So I don't want to be personal, but how much are you looking at paying?
How much is a kilo?
Say $5.
Yeah, lots. Yeah.
Jen, do you think this is perfectly fine?
Oh, of course she does.
Well, I'm not afraid of flying, but I'm concerned about how much weight is in the air. We're just going to ignore, we're just going to go, listen, your bag can only be 25 kilos, but you can be 150. I don't know. Do you know, like, weight is weight. Isn't there a certain... But you could do the group check-in. So, you know, when we do, like, tours with groups and you all check your bags in together because some people's are lighter and some are heavier. So you just, you know, you travel with a couple of large people, a couple of small people, you all check in at the same time, all comes out... Roughly. Thank you, evenly.
And you get weighed at the terminal?
Pretty much. You've got to do a Biggest Loser type thing where you got your I'll strip down to my crop top, guys go shirtless, and just pray that we don't have to pay the excess. I have worked so hard this week.
Oh, come on. I'm with you, Merv, and you, Jen.
How?
Have you been to Samoa?
No.
But, of course, if you were running an airline and the only customers you had were Samoans, they're 10 foot tall. You know, their shoulders are huge. They're big. They eat lots of, you know, fatty foods. They're big, beautiful people. You know, you would get tired of it.
So the big thing is how much petrol you put into the plane, isn't it?
Exactly. This is the point.
Fill the fucking thing up. It's not that hard. Like misjudged, like a couple of kilos out, we're going to land 3 miles short of the runway because we run out of petrol. Fill it up.
It's amazing that we've solved the crisis in the airline industry with 5 simple words. Fill the fucking thing up. Oh, it's 6 words.
Well, there you go. Just fill it up.
Just like that. Your point is valid, though. The fact is that airlines, one of their biggest expenditures is the cost of petrol. And the cost of petrol is directly related to how much weight they have to carry. So surely there's some merit to having people who are carrying a bit more extra weight pay a little bit extra.
Says he who is 68 kilos.
Well, that's dripping wet, yeah.
That's fully... Yeah, anyway.
Or bring your own
carrying
cans of petrol. Bring your own can of petrol. If you're a big person, you go up and go, bang, put that in. Or put them in hang gliders that are attached to the back of the plane. That way it's just them and the natural winds that will...
Now it's getting weird, and I didn't think it would get any weirder than the thought in my head of Jen at the airport carrying a jerry can with her top off.
Crop top.
Crop top.
Crop top on.
Crop top.
Yeah, that makes all the difference. Merv, I can tell already this show is not going to be dull. All right, time for a quick break. More can openers when we come back, and we ask a worm that determines whether parenthood is really worth the wait. You're back with Can of Worms, and we're halfway through our can openers. The stories we want Tim, Jen and Merv to judge whether they're perfectly fine or seriously wrong. Now, last week, England lost its first female Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher. She was a deeply divisive figure. She was deified by the right and she was demonised by the left. Even in her death, though, there was no let-up, with a lot of critics piling on the abuse. Here's a couple of less than lovely moments in terms of the public response, burning pictures of her in the street, popping champagne, rejoice Thatcher is dead. Some of them were quite tasteless, but they sort of tapped into some of the sentiment that was going on in the UK. Jen, what do you think about this, the idea that you celebrate the death of a public figure? Is it perfectly fine or seriously wrong?
I think it's seriously wrong. I think there's a little bit of a respect for whoever dies, regardless of, you know, what their legacy may be. There's 2 separate issues, I think. Someone's died, give them their moment of, or their family, the moment of, you know, you've lost someone, you know, couple of weeks, stuck in, you know, on the legacy of the, you know, tyranny of, but, you know, and yeah, I think it's a bit tasteless to just come straight out.
Tim, what do you think? Is it a bit too soon?
Oh, it's too soon to use such nasty language. I think it's OK for people to say, wow, Margaret Thatcher, she was a fighter. And I didn't agree with everything she said. But then to, you know, go using harsh language, I mean, seriously, the woman's died. There's no point in shouting. Is
it ever OK, Merv, to celebrate the death of a public figure?
If you don't like someone, you don't like it. And if they've stuffed your life up, why do you have to, oh, she's dead, she wasn't a bad person? If you disagreed with what she did, I reckon open slather. Because there's too many times where people die and everyone's, oh, he was a great bloke. You never hear... I want to hear someone come out and actually say, OK, someone says, yeah, I didn't like him, he was a prick. But no one ever says it. Yeah. And because it's wrong, isn't it? But ultimately, if you don't like someone, you don't like someone, and you shouldn't have to like them for a period of time after they die.
But there is, I guess, a little bit of respect that they can no longer defend themselves. They're no longer alive. Have you ever thought...
Open slather.
Open slather? Oh. Have you ever said that, though? Have you honestly ever said that guy was a prick?
No, because I don't think that I've known a prick that's died yet, because everyone that I hate is still alive.
So all the
good people go. James, all the good people go.
Oh, you've got some great years coming up then.
Oh, yeah.
And all the pricks you know just drop off.
Just slap them.
These were the scenes in America when Osama bin Laden was killed. There were parties literally in the street. How do you feel about that idea, a man who was pure evil and people celebrating his death?
I think it's tasteless. I think it's inciting more hatred, more intolerance and more, and then, you know, the next, another American dies and then they're, it's just really, I just find it tasteless and pointless.
If there'd been guns in that crowd, people would have been shooting them in the air. Bam, bam, bam. But, of course, you know, they kept their weapons concealed like good Americans.
To be fair, though, Osama Merv was a bit of a prick.
Oh, he was an evil man. What he did to the US, you can understand them. So, like, that's war. I mean, in England, when, like, Thatcher was on the same side as most of those people, and they hated her. And they come out and do that. Now, geez, if one of my arch enemies died, I'm just jumping up and down, thinking happy days.
But you're jumping up and down at home, or are you getting a whole lot of people going into Fed
have
Square
a party.
or something?
Have a party. You have a ring
Party
around
at your...
and just say, right.
Is it at your place?
Osama bin Laden, did you like him or did you hate him? Hate him, good, come around.
Come over.
We're having a death party.
Yeah, right.
We want to celebrate it.
I'm happy to have a private party at Merv's house if someone we know goes and we hated them, but I'm not going in with a whole lot of red, white and blue.
So, not in the streets, but party at Merv's.
Merv's is fine.
Time for something a little less weighty. Now, these pics have been doing the rounds most of last week, but we couldn't help but talk about it. The latest internet meme in China is not about cats, it's about dogs. And it's about dressing up dogs in pantyhose. Foxy terriers. This is happening. This is happening in China. Yeah, and I think we've got one more. Jen, perfectly fine?
See, if you hadn't have shown me that footage, I would have said, seriously wrong. That's the funniest thing I've seen in about 4 months. I'm going home tonight, and my dog, I always give her a little cuddle before, you know, I go to bed, but she's going to have a little something extra. That is hilarious.
You got to look at it from the way the dog's looking at it. All they're interested in is dog food. They will do anything to get a little bit of extra dog food. Like you say, a little snack treat before bedtime, and if that involves wearing high heels, what the hell?
Now, it might be just me, but take a look at the pooch on the left. He's not happy.
No.
He's just give him a food. I want to get this crap off me. No, that's seriously wrong. That's just weird.
Wait, it's seriously wrong only because of the high heels?
Well, it's seriously wrong because I find it actually quite attractive.
Coming up, we're going to give you a worm whose bite is probably as bad as its bark. We're going to ask you just how old is too old to become a parent. If I ask you a question, what do Steve Martin, Mick Jagger and Rupert Murdoch have in common? Well, apart from the fact that they're filthy rich, they've all fathered children after the age of 55. Now, the fastest growing parental group in Australia are mothers aged 45 to 49 and fathers aged 50 and over. But just because we can do it, does that also mean we should do it? We're going to put it to our panel tonight. At what age are you just too old to have toddlers running around? Is 45 too old to be a parent? Make a decision. Jen says no. Tim says yes. Merv says no. OK, very, very interesting. All right, Jen, let's start with you.
Well, I'm 45. And I wasn't going to reveal this tonight.
I would never have guessed.
But I'm not pregnant. Because I have 2 children and that's shop shut, you know. I'm assuming you're talking about a 45-year-old woman. I don't know. Parent? No. Not too old. So it's such an individual thing.
Merv, you're also a no, it's not too old?
Not too old. I think there's actual age and physical age, because there's some people, some women that are 45 years old that are fitter than people when they're 20, 25 years old.
You're talking about me, Merv.
Oh, you're looking good. You are looking good. But it comes down to the physical health and the well-being of the person.
You're talking about 45-year-old women who feel like 25-year-old women?
Yes. Yeah. Because, mate, each to their own, and as you get older, things don't work as well, both male and female. So there are more risks with birth the older you get, but if you're physically fitter, those risks are reduced,
Sure.
which was easy for me to say.
We'll get to those risks. Tim, you think 45 is too old to become a parent?
Of course it's too old. What are we told when we're 16 and they're giving us sex education classes? There is an optimal age for making babies where it's the healthiest for you and the healthiest for the baby. And after that time, the risks double each year. And by the time you're 45, certainly when I was a kid, we were just told it was all over. You know, if you're going to have babies, have them early. You don't need a man around, for God's sake. He won't hang around anyway.
You do.
Oh, I would.
No, you do to start with. You need a man around at some stage.
At some stage. Yeah. Oh, well, that's true. For a brief moment. But otherwise...
Very brief.
Yeah, but otherwise... And, of course, yeah, it's each to their own. But for God's sake, if you want to have children, don't decide at 45 because you feel 25.
But in this day and age too, there's the landscape's changed from when we were kids. Is that if you get married young now, a lot of people can't afford houses, let alone, you know, just the financial side of it. So a lot of people are working, setting up their nest egg and having kids a lot later. And whether that's through medical knowledge now, whatever it is. So if it's more beneficial for the community as a whole, it's got to be more beneficial for the people involved, doesn't it?
Well, that's true, but you never have enough money for kids because whatever you've got, they'll take. For God's sake, if you're going to do it, start now, or at least start practising as soon as possible.
I had my first child at 37 and my second child at 40. And it wasn't really out of choice, it just happened that way. And I agree, as in, have them younger, not too young though, have a bit of life, bit of babies, bit of, you know. But, yeah, I don't think it's a money thing either.
It comes down to when you meet the one.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't get married till I was 34 and basically we didn't have kids until my career was finished. It all comes down to a lot of things, but you're not too old, never too old.
Tim, you talk about having them, you know, as early as possible. Jen has a point in terms of when you are a little bit older, you've got a bit more maturity, you probably have a bit more patience and you've got a bit of more emotional intelligence. Doesn't that mean you're probably a better parent when you are a little bit aged?
Not at all. There are plenty of teenage mothers who've been single teenage mothers who've done it with extraordinary success. Their kids are extraordinary. And I've got friends who had kids when they were teenagers, all alone, and their kids are the most awesome.
Ideally, though, if you could create the perfect environment for a child, would it be a mother in her teens or would it be someone probably a little bit later in life?
I don't think that really is an ideal, but I'd say, you know, 25, if you've thought about doing it, get onto it. Because 25, you know, get into it. I was breeding at 23. You know, that's an Irish Catholic ring right there. You know, we were told get into it. So, seriously, you know, and kids are fantastic.
And not use contraception.
No, God, no. No, that's how you get to make them.
But times have changed, haven't they?
That's true. Yeah, of course, everybody, you know, play around for a while. But, you know, if you want them, why would you wait until you are of an age where it's at its most dangerous for you and at its most dangerous for the genetic health of the child?
That people have waited around and not, it just hasn't happened. And like we tried for years and years and then it happened.
There is some pretty clear data that once you're over 45, your risk of miscarriage balloons out to about 50%, in fact over 50%. Your chance of complications with the child treble every year after that. I mean, knowing that, are those risks sort of enough to make you reconsider, do you think, once you get to 45? It's a very different proposition to when you're at 40.
I just think, and I think they're calculated risks. I don't think anyone who's 45 who's having a baby has not already done a stack of research and decided that they want to go ahead with it anyway.
We've been talking about the kid a little bit, but what about as you get a little bit older? You know, if you have your child at, say, 50, at their 21st, you're 71, you're in your 70s.
You're probably not there, are you?
Well, you're probably not there.
Don't say that, Merv.
Well, isn't that something to consider as well?
Yeah, but think of the money you save on the 21st birthday. You can spend it on your funeral.
Yeah, I guess that's an incentive. When you look at it that way.
Yeah, so those things got to come into considerations. But I reckon at 45, if you haven't had kids, you've met someone, you're not thinking about when they're 21. you're thinking
But
about...
shouldn't you be?
Oh, now that you brought it up, yeah, it's not
And
bad.
beyond that, the fact that you might not be there, you know, the reality is a lot of people 75 and over need care.
See, with an
either through-
attitude like that, I reckon that you will know what you're doing on the 5th of April next year. I've got no idea what I'm doing tomorrow.
The reality is that you may have to be a carer. You might have to be looking after your parents when you're in the prime of your youth, in your 20s. Is that fair?
Yeah,
My word.
it's family. Like, we come in all different groupings, and I mean, some children grow up with their grandparents. So, I mean, I just think we've got to broaden it out and stop having this perfect model of, oh, it's, you know, when we're young and we're fit and we're happy and this and that'll grow old and I'll be at your 21st, but I'll still be able to make a pav. And I just think times have changed, things have shifted. I've lost both of my parents in the last sort of 3 years, and that was younger than I would have liked. So that's why I'm quite focused on keeping healthy so that I'll hopefully outlive them and be there for my kids. We'll be kicking back at their 21st. I'll be, you know, I don't know how I'll do the math in the ad break, but I won't be dancing much. Just a little shuffle.
We're going to hear from someone in the audience now. Clive Enever, where are you? Hello, Clive.
Hello, James.
How are you? Now, Clive, you had your first son at 19 years of age, your second son at 20, and then you had a daughter with your second wife at 55 years of age.
I did.
Tell us about being a parent at those two different stages.
Fun all the way through. At 19, there's a bit more going on in growing and learning. So you tend to miss out a little bit, I think, at that age, on all the intricacies of a child growing up and how it could be enjoyed. Whereas now, with a tad more experience, well, a 3-year-old tantrum's fun now.
Clive, just how old's your second wife? Or how old was she when she gave birth?
Oh, you're getting testy now.
Oh, I'll just ask you. Because predominantly it's not...
31.
Yeah, it's predominantly it's not the health of the child isn't so much about the male at that age, it's about the female, isn't it?
Well, in some sense...
I understand as you get older, the sperm gets a little bit weaker.
Yeah.
But ultimately it's more about a woman going through the pregnancy.
If it's fine with Merv, it's fine with the uterus. There you go. Thanks so much for sharing with us today. And Clive, big ups.
Yeah.
Woo, word.
Yeah, good work.
So is 45 too old to be a parent? We're going to bring you the results of our Facebook poll after the break. Also, we're going to trap our guests between a tight spot and an awkward moment. That's coming up in our Moral Minefield. Can of worms, good on you. Tonight we asked, is 45 too old to be a parent? Well, our Facebook poll says 63% of you think it is too old. There with you, Tim. Well done. Now it's time, though, for our Moral Minefield. OK, let's have a look at the board. The rules are very, very simple. Pick a topic, answer truthfully, and then sit there and wallow in your shame. Why don't we start with you, Merv?
Etiquette.
OK. Is it all right to cry at work?
Hell no. Depends. Now, this is going to be very sexist. Yes, if you're a woman, no, if you're a bloke. Because I think people expect women to cry. They don't expect blokes to cry.
Oh, Jen, batter up. Batter up!
Here we
Come
go,
on, let's go,
Mervy.
baby. Come on, give me your best.
Expect women to cry? Or...
At work.
No. Don't want too much about that whole, you know, and especially the macho stuff.
No,
You're telling me... I've seen so many footballers cry in the last... You played football, didn't you, Merv? That's why you're famous for. I've seen so many footballers cry over losing matches, but I love it. I get a bit teary myself when I watch it, because I'm a woman and it's expected. But I really do.
Sporting-wise, though, did you ever cry or did you ever make an opponent cry?
Oh, I made a few opponents cry, yeah. Yeah. No, I shed a tear on occasions. Lost to the West Indies by, I think, 1 run in Adelaide one time. There was a few tears in the room that night.
Oh, you bloody wolf.
I got to tell you, we're out there working damn hard for your country and you just don't appreciate it.
Timbo, let's get you to pick from the board. There's a few up there. Relationships, money, sex, gender.
Oh, rules and regulations, that's me.
Right up your alley. OK. Is it ever OK to refuse a present?
No, it is not ever OK. Because with eBay now, why look a gift horse in the mouth?
Whenever someone gives you a gift, they say to you, be honest, though, if you don't like it, tell me. We never tell them.
Oh, no, you just pull that face where you have that smile, which is kind of a... A guy gave me a duck once. That's
A live duck?
a live living duck. He handed the box over and went, there you go. And I went, oh, thank you. And I felt something moving in there. He said, yeah, it's a duck. And then he left the party. And so I was stuck with this duck that I had to raise. And, you know, Ralph was a pretty good duck, so it worked out OK. But if eBay had been around, it would have been 1 duck going free.
I don't think it's OK ever to refuse a present, even if you don't like it. It's not in the spirit of giving. It's not, you know, you've got to be in there. And we used to have this Christmas party with these people I lived with years and years ago. We'd have a $5 Kris Kringle, and everyone had to bring a $5 present, and they're putting the presents in the bag, and we'd hand the bag around and you could pull a present out. And someone pulled out a souvlaki.
Jackpot.
She was really disappointed. I just said, that's not getting into the spirit of it. She should have eaten it.
Yeah.
It was cold. No, it's not OK.
Jen, you're up. Pick from the moral minefield board there.
Gender.
Is it all right for male friends to hug and kiss?
Absolutely.
And why don't we see it very much?
Because you don't hang out with enough gay men.
We're not talking about gay men. We're talking about mates. You know, Tim, is it all right?
The mafia do it. I'm perfectly OK with it being a macho.
Fair point.
I love this guy.
This one, I guess, is a bit of a no-brainer for you, Merv, because we have Exhibit A, you and AB here.
Oh, yeah. Cuddle, kiss.
Oh, that's
this is where I've got a problem with myself. I have a huge problem because I played footy, I played basketball, hug and kiss, give your mate a hug and all that. But if gay men do it, it's wrong. That's why it's weird, isn't it? It's just a stupid outlook.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wait.
But it's good you own it.
Yeah.
But
when...
And it's good that I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
what
I've
are you
got to get over
do with it now?
No, I'm just going to sit on it for another 40 years.
All right. Yeah. And then have a baby.
Yeah.
And then...
Not with a man, no.
I mean, that's a real conundrum, isn't it? Because look at you being extremely affectionate with another man, yet...
Well, the reason I did it, Alan Border, now, there is a reason for this. I licked his ear and he hated it, all right? So I didn't kiss him, I licked it. And people said, why did you keep doing it? I said, because he kept bowling me uphill into the wind, which is hard work for a bowler. So I kept licking his ear every chance I got.
So you did that, but if you see 2 gay men kissing each other's ears...
Yeah, no, it's not right. So that's where I've got a problem. Hey,
Yeah, well,
that's a huge problem.
I love your honesty about this, you know, because it's rare that people will admit to that.
So where do we go from here?
Well, you'll come around eventually.
OK.
Well, now we know
Or
why
the likes of you will die out.
But I know. No, but I know. And end up in hell. Listen, I know some gay men, and happy days. Like, you get on well with them, not a problem. But when they start getting canoodly, you just think... But then again, I think that male and female affection in public, I reckon that's a bit off too.
Yeah. I love that you're being candid about this because so many people who object to it hide behind other rationales. So, you know, I applaud that. But the beauty is that this picture will live in infamy. Wait.
So it's okay. Yeah, it's okay for males to do it, but not homosexual males.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Says the man with his tongue down Alan Border's ear.
Yes.
Okay. Don't go anywhere. We're only halfway through this baby, and if we get time, we'll get to open up the wild card. Oh, yeah. I don't even know what's in it. All I've been given are 2 hints. These props. One is some dishwashing detergent. Okay. And the other is a signed glossy photo of Colin Firth that says, "To James, you are my very own Mr. Darcy. Love, Colin." Swoon. Fingers crossed we'll get to that. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back. Tim Ferguson, Genevieve Morris and Merv Hughes are ducking and weaving their way across the moral minefield. Now it's Merv's turn to head into the breach. What do you choose there, sir?
Relationships.
OK. Oh, boy. Is it OK to blame a woman's moodiness on PMT?
No. Because if you do, what do you put the other 3.5 weeks every month down to?
Yeah. I would have stopped it. No.
No, listen, I don't know what I'm supposed to say here.
Merv, we are not in a safe place here.
No. No, it is not.
Tim?
It is never.
Yes, it is fair to blame a woman's mood on her PMT if she's OK with that.
Listen up, boys. Your answer was spot on, Tim, because I reckon it's okay. Day 20, I turn. And I turn before I know I've turned. And then I look at the calendar and go, oh, day 20! And then I sometimes have to say to my partner, I'm premenstrual, and he goes, I kind of figured that, but I don't want to. And then, yeah.
What sort of behaviours are we talking about when you're really in the thick of it?
Little bit of mass murder. No, just a very short wick. Just anything can just tick me off. And my driving skills aren't as good.
Tim.
OK, let's go with sex.
Yeah.
Is it all right for your partner to point out hot people?
Yes. Well, because they always pick the most freakish people. You know that ginger nut guy from Hill Street Blues who does CSI?
David Caruso.
David Caruso. Yeah. I knew a
Horatio.
girl who just melted at David Caruso. What kind of freakish subconscious is at work, I would say?
Merv, for you, has this ever happened?
It has happened a lot, and I don't like it. It is not all right for my wife to point out hot men to me, but it's all right for me to pervert girls as they go past.
You're a classic.
It is important. It's important to have free perving rules. Men do it, women do it. So it's important to be able to say, sure, honey, you can look at whoever you like. Just make sure you don't accidentally have sex.
That's very important. Look but don't touch. My big one is that my wife is, oh, that bloke's hot, and you sort of look at that, he doesn't do anything for me.
And are we talking about pointing out hot people in the general public or on television or in magazines?
Everywhere. Everywhere she does it. Oh, he's hot. Put John Bon Jovi on tonight. She's woo.
To be fair, John Bon Jovi's no David Caruso, you know?
Yeah, no, fair point.
Jen, what about in your relationship?
We tend to agree on the same... We've got the similar aesthetic or something. Like, I'll be watching a movie or something and go, God, he's stunning or something, you know. And Tim, even though he's a macho bloke, not you. I mean, you are macho, but you're not Tim. He'll agree, he'll go, yeah, he's handsome, isn't he? Or whatever, or a beautiful woman, or, you know, we don't, yeah, it's sort of... But we don't sort of do, oh, he's all right, and, you know... Yeah, we just don't do that. We're very highbrow.
With that in mind, let's get you to the moral minefield. You've got one choice, and it is money.
Right on, I'll go money.
Is it okay to tailgate at a parking lot boom gate so you don't have to pay?
I've never even thought of that. I reckon if you're willing to risk the boom gate coming down on your car roof, because parking's bloody expensive now, go for it. Yes, it is okay.
It's illegal and it's immoral.
Oh, you've got on your high horse now.
But surely it shouldn't be about the cost of it. Surely it should be about the right and wrong of it. And you're saying...
Is it okay?
It's okay to do the wrong thing because it costs too much.
Yeah, man. Fight the power.
So you won't mind me taking the number plates off your car to use e-tags?
I'd take it easy. That's just getting out of hand.
Okay.
No, you've got a bit of rascal in you. Surely you've thought about cheating the system before.
Yeah, I have, but...
All right.
See, I disagree with it, but I'll sneak blokes into it when we're 18, 19, but I'm a lot more mature now. We used to, like, 15 people in the car go into the drive-in, jump in the boot, boys. So that's okay.
Wow. Yeah, but, just for the movie industry, that's fine.
They don't get paid enough.
But, like, car parks...
They get paid. It gets back to my argument, doesn't it pay? No, listen, I'm more older and more mature now. I think it's immoral and illegal and it shouldn't be done.
More mature. Bullshit. We've got time for the wild card. All right.
This is not good. This is not
The wild card
good.
question is...
Okay.
Is it okay to finish a sentence for someone who has a stutter? Tim, any thoughts on this?
People who stutter don't have conversations for practice. You know, they just want to communicate. And if you've worked halfway through their sentence, what they're trying to say, then you might as well finish it for them. They're not doing it for practice. They go to therapy for that sort of thing.
It feels like you're in dangerous territory, doesn't it, Jen? It feels like you're being a bit presumptuous.
I don't think it's okay.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I worked with a theatre company in... well, because I just went... I've worked with a theatre company who... You're going to be so spewing in a minute that you're laughing. They have an ensemble of...
What Jen is trying to say.
A particular actor I worked with once has an intellectual disability, so he has a lot of trouble speaking. And we went on tour, and we went out to dinner at King's Cross, and the waitress was taking the orders, and you know, there's lots of intellectually disabled people sitting around, actors who are in this play, and it's fantastic. And the guy next to me, Mick, who went to order, he was saying, and you know, he's saying, I'll have sp, and the waitress said spaghetti bolognese, and he went spanakopera. And he was going to order spaghetti bolognese, but he just went, fuck you. So and then I went, I don't reckon I'll ever finish your sentence again, Mick.
Now, Merv.
My cat had a stutter.
This is going to be a good story.
In the backyard I was, and the rock wheeler came over the fence from next door. I had my cat in the back of the garage, going nowhere. Dogs at the front, just and a cat, back arched, hair up, tail up, head down, looking at the dog, went, and before it could say fuck off, the dog ate it. Right? So I think it's important that we are able to help out people with stutters and finish their sentences.
Merv Hughes, ladies and gentlemen. Now, it wouldn't be a can of worms without a dash of Dan Ilic. He's going to road test some of your worms when we come back. Okay, now, every episode we ask you to send in your worm suggestions, and our man, Dan Ilic, gets to the bottom of one of them. Let's see how we led him astray this week.
Rachel Patan writes on Facebook, should being tattooed affect your ability to find a job? I guess it depends on the kind of tattoo. Just calling about the job. Before I apply, I just want to know what your policy is on tattoos. Got like a swastika on my face.
What kind of tattoo?
It's the logo of the Hells Angels, the bikie gang. I owed them money, so they put a tattoo on me.
On your face?
Yeah.
What are the ones on your face?
Roadkill, a bear ripping apart a camper.
I need you to come in here and hand in your resume, if that's okay.
My resume, oh yeah, I've got a pretty good resume. I've got it tattooed on my back.
Excuse me?
It's a snake that comes up my neck and comes out of my eye and then like vomits into my mouth. Maybe I can come in for an interview? What about this afternoon?
I'm closing right now.
I'm really recognisable. I'm the one with the big penis tattooed on my forehead.
So I've got to run, but
Great, well I'll see you in a couple of minutes.
thanks, bye.
I wanted the Chinese characters for harmony, but unfortunately they wrote fuck off instead in Chinese.
Mate, I get a lot of Chinese clients here, so I definitely can't have you working here.
I speak perfect Chinese. That's how I know it's spelt wrong.
Yeah? Do you understand this word?
Bless. Now, wonderful Dan Ilic on the streets, getting into trouble as always. Have you actually got any tattoos, Dan?
Oh yeah, I just got one this week actually, and there it is there. Pretty happy with this one. Oh, it still hurts. Oh, so
Yeah.
I just want to say you're doing a good job, James. You're doing a really good job.
You know how I said there couldn't be anything creepier than the dogs in pantyhose?
That's it.
I was wrong.
Yep.
And if you are anywhere in and around Melbourne, Dan's got his very own show. Dan Ilic is Legally Ambiguous. It's very, very funny and it's killing it at the Melbourne Comedy Festival. And he especially likes it when you throw money on stage.
Yeah.
Not coins, though.
No.
All right, before we go, we might find out from you guys, actually. Tim, you got any tattoos?
I've never really had the guts to trust my own stupidity that much. But if I did get one, there are a couple of options. One is, instead of mum, I would have your mum on my...
Jen, have you got any tattoos?
Yes.
No.
Let's have a look at them.
I ain't pulling out my ass on TV.
It's on your ass. Why and what did you get on your ass?
Well,
Stand clear when reversing.
that's it. You've seen it.
Oh, yeah.
Snuck in your
I have a symbol to me that is what I do and what I want. I've got the comedy and tragedy masks, the faces.
Yeah.
And it's in a private place. It's for me, and it's
Have you got, like, the tragedy mask on one buttock and the comedy one on the other one?
Hey.
And dramas in the middle?
You'll never know.
Damn!
All right, well, yeah, an arse joke. What a way to end my tour on Can of Worms. That's all for tonight. A huge thank you to Tim Ferguson, Genevieve Morris and the legendary Merv Hughes. Next week on the show, we've got singer Anthony Kalia, comedian Lawrence Mooney and Olympic golden girl Anna Mears. And Chrissy Swanee's back in the chair. I've had a blast. Hopefully you had as well. And we'll see you soon on Can of Worms. Good night.